The rule of 3 is my favorite trick when improvising. It says that whatever you improvise, try to form groups of 3 notes. So let me show you an example of not using and using this trick. So here's without the rule of 3. Now, it was like cool. Maybe you thought like, hey, yeah, it sounds quite nice. He's playing lots of notes. He must be a good pianist. But really, there was nothing that was being said. It was just notes. And for me, this is not what improvisation is about. I think improvisation should be more than just playing notes. So let me show you how it sounds when I'm using this rule of 3. Now, just some ideas for how this idea would sound. Now, you already could tell what I was doing. Again, we're trying to form groups of 3 and improvise with those. Now, let me explain how to find these yourself, and I'll give you some tips which notes you should use. So, of course, we're in the key of C major. We're playing the white notes. And for the chords that I was using for the improvisation, it could be a progression like C major, C over E, F major, G, but then at some points like I went to A minor, even D minor, E minor. So really you can just like try to go around when you accompany yourself with a progression like this. Now, if all of this is going too fast, if you don't know like the chords I'm playing, what's going on here, I recommend you watch all the free courses I made on that. You can learn how to play chords from scratch. It's the first link in the video description or in the pinned comment. But back to our rule of 3. So we're in the key of C major, which means let's just build groups of 3 from the white notes. For example, we can do something like E, G, and A. That could be one group. We could also do C, D, G, maybe. We can do something like A, C, and D. Maybe one last down here, D, E, and G. And so with these groups, really you can pick any combination. They can be wider apart, like C, G, and B, but then really it starts to get less melodical. So try to keep them within, maybe let's say as a rule, you don't want more than 2 wide spaces like in between any of the notes. So when you improvise, you want to try to stay within these groups for a longer time. Now, for example, let's pick a group like A, C, and D, and try to, for the entire progression, stay within this group of 3. For example, and then go to the next group. Maybe let's pick something. Now again, all of these you can just pick at random. I'm just giving you ideas on like which you can use. Maybe let's use D, E, and G, for example, and try to again play with those. And you could tell, like, from just exploring ideas like this and repeating them, it starts to sound quite cool actually. And we're using less notes than you would probably think you need for improvising. Now, what is the strength of this rule of three? Why are we doing this, and how do we stop just like playing 3 notes when we play a solo? Because again, like, that's not the end goal, but it's just like the means to an end. Now, once you've done enough of these combinations of notes of 3, that's when you can start combining them. So as I did in the second example I showed you when I was using the rule of 3 to improvise, I switched around from these groups of 3 and I found these like at random, so I didn't plan which ones to use. And you can, of course, like, you don't always like have to stick in these 3 notes. You can play with them and then kind of start to go above, and then, oh yeah, now I found like a nice group of 3 that I can use again. So think of these as something like anchor points throughout your solo, throughout your improvisation, where it's like you start to play, maybe you pick one group like this and you stick with it for a little bit, develop an idea, try to think, what can I come up with just these 3 notes? And then you start to move through the next one, and then it's like, I found this, and then, okay, yeah, cool, let's stick with this one for a little bit. Now, for the end, I want to give you a short backing track in the key of C major, so you can just try to play whatever you want, try to move around with these groups, try to find different ones, try to stick with them for longer than you usually would. I think that's the best tip I want to give you on your way for this improvisation. So let's play together in the key of C using our rule of 3. Now, tell me in the comments below how it went. Were you able to improvise along with this? And I hope you can try to develop these ideas into your own improvisation and start to build ideas which are more musical, melodical, and makes it's just fun to play. Now, again, check out all the free courses I made. There's a full course on how to improvise on piano if you click on the link in the video description or in the pinned comment. And I'll see you guys again in the next lesson.